Ciao ragazzi, my name is Anthony. Welcome back to the Serie A Roundtable here on Football Worldwide. We're right in the business end of the season. 6 games feels like 16 games to go, and it's an absolute pleasure to be joined by who I might as well just call my co-host now. Adam, how you going, man? Good to see you again.
Hey boys, how you going? Good to be back.
Thanks, man. Good to see you. And making his debut on the channel, it's the second Culture Guys member to come on the channel. I'm pretty sure, or did Johnny come on into Worldwide? I can't remember, man. But you're definitely more just as welcome as Johnny, bro. It's welcome to have you, Adreano, man. Good to see you from the Culture Guys.
I appreciate you having me on, Anthony. It's a pleasure. You made a sacrifice to come on our show. You guys are in Australia. We're here in Montreal, Canada. I had to make a bit of a sacrifice tonight for you guys on this great channel.
That's it, man. What time is it for you over there, so the viewers know?
It's past midnight. What is it? 12, almost 12:20. Past midnight.
Almost 12:20. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for coming along, and thanks to the four people that are tuning in. We'll probably get a couple of spillages over from our Worldwide platform that just finished up there with Bruno and Christian, and thank you to them for that. So let's kick it off, boys. Matchday 32 played. Done. You can start really seeing the mold of the ladder, and you can start to really see what's going to go down. There are teams with a lot to do in the last 6 games. There are teams with not so much to do. And you're looking at one of them now. Bologna, basically with the 3 points wrapped up with Arnautovic this morning, can almost sign off on their season. They probably need somewhere in between 3 to 5 points mathematically to survive the drop. And that's in a weird situation where most teams beneath them win all their games. So shout out to Bologna for surviving another campaign with Sinisa Mihailovic's health always in limbo. He's an absolute warrior. We love Sinisa. All the best to him. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with what is, what I've called them and Adam's called them all season, the perfect mid-table squad. We'll see who moves. We'll see who comes back in. But Bologna, ready for another season in Serie A next season. Well done to them, and well done to Arnautovic. Sampdoria, on the other hand, they need to be careful. Just because they've got Serie A pedigree, just because they have, a little bit of football heritage in this league, as Mourinho would call it, they're not safe yet, Adam. I'll give you a quick go on the mic for Sampdoria.
Yeah, they've been, we've spoken about them in the positive light a lot of times this season, but and then they let us down, and they flounder. They just can't get any rhythm or any consistency whatsoever. But so it's going to be an interesting running for them. Imagine we lose both Genoa clubs. Can you imagine that? I can't. So I believe Genoa will go down, and Sampdoria will end up staying up somehow at the end. But just on Bologna, I hope they don't take their foot off the pedal too soon, because they've got Juve this week, and we're from a Romanisti point of view, we're hoping to, even though we probably won't catch Juve, we're hoping to get as close as possible. So hopefully Bologna come out with a spirited performance like they did against Sampdoria.
There's no way Mihailovic goes into a game against Juve with no spirit. We can guarantee that. We can guarantee that, man. Adriano, what do you think's going to happen, man? Like, do you think there could be a peculiar situation where Sampdoria are going into their last couple of games of the season still needing wins?
Well, they it's crazy to think that both clubs from Genoa can go down. That would be a shame. I think Samp, in the next couple of games, they need a couple more wins, and I think they'll be safe. I think they will make it, still in Serie A. That experience, I think, is going to be the key for them. Guys like Quagliarella, Caputo, other guys that they have on their squad, just to be, just to have that experience in Serie A. But again, they've been shocking this season. It's a bit of a shame, but at the same time, they kind of dug their own grave, if I will, if I can say that. But yeah, I think they'll be able to do it, but they're going to have to get rolling really, really quick, because like you said, Anthony, 6 games left in the season.
And not on that, with 4 match days to go, there's another Derby della Lanterna. So in 3 match days, it could come down to that. I mean, both teams will be riding on that result for survival. Imagine that.
That would be absolutely nuts, man. Balkan Warrior in the chat says keep Sensi for next season or sell him, Anthony, from an Inter point of view. To be honest, that's a big question mark. I don't know. I've almost forgotten about him altogether. It was bizarre the way he exited in January. And, we'll ask that question on our other platform when the time's right, eh? Emiliano says, Sampdoria, what a disappointment. They have good talent there. They do have good talent, but as Adam said, it's a fluidity thing. They've just they haven't been jointed all season. There's always been a few cogs missing in the machine, and that's just how they're going going to remember this season as one to forget, and maybe what could have been somewhere better. Talking about what could have been, dropping points at home. Now that I'm looking at this result here, I'm starting to think Inter draw to Fiorentina wasn't the worst point in the world. That Fiorentina side looked on fire on the weekend. Game of the round. They've been fantastic since Vlahovic departed in January. Nico Gonzalez is having a fantastic season as well. Cristiano Biraghi, who wasn't good enough for Inter a couple of seasons ago, he wears that captain's armband on his chest, and he is an absolute warrior for that side. That's his side. He has found his club for sure. Adriano, I'll start with you, man. Surprise result here. From a Milan point of view, it's always good to see the rivals dropping points, the ones around us at the top of the table. But Napoli need to be very, very cautious going forward from here, man. They are walking the tightrope right now.
Yeah, and listen, there's all top teams at the top. They're all good squads. Napoli, no different. I've said it on our show. I went on other shows and said the same thing. You can't take any of these games lightly. It seems to be that Napoli at the Maradona, they have had trouble. It's not a surprise anymore. It's not a secret. It's something that they've had trouble with these past couple of match days and just overall in the season. But yeah, you know what? When Fiorentina is on, this is a squad that can do damage. We saw it this weekend. We saw it last weekend in the derby too for Fiorentina. So you know what? Shout out to Italiano. We've been big advocates of him on our platform, on our show. If anybody listens to myself, I'm always praising Italiano. I think most of Calcio Twitter is. And you know what? Rightfully so. It's a big task to go to Naples, a team fighting for the Scudetto, and you're going to go there and kind of ruin the party. And they did that over the weekend. So, you know what? It's a shame because Napoli had their chances as well. I think Osimhen was maybe the highlight of that Napoli squad, barring maybe Mertens and a couple others. But as a collective unit, this was a game that Napoli really, really needed. They dropped crucial points. But again, it's one game at a time. There's still 6 finals, quote unquote finals left to play. So there's still time, but these are 3 big points lost.
100%. And the first of their 6 finals comes up against, guess who? Adam, take it away, man. You've got a job to do next weekend. Now, look, but before you do that, ask any Napoli fan at the start of the season if you'd be in this position right now, they'd take your hand off, because they are going to qualify for the Champions League. And that was pretty much the be-all and end-all. Everything besides that is just the cherry on top. Do you see it starting to go downhill for them in terms of their Scudetto run in their last 6 games? And could it start with you guys this week?
Look, I think this season has taught us that we can't predict anything when it comes to Serie A. I think each round has created its own surprise every week. So I've stopped predicting and just continue to enjoy it, because, look, Spalletti did say after the game it was an opportunity lost, and of course it was at home in front of almost a full house. And what I will say is that one thing that struck me watching this game was that it was the first time in a long time that I've seen Stadio Diego Armando Maradona in full sunshine. We're so used to seeing these games played at night, and it took me back to those games that I've seen, from the 80s and 90s with Maradona. That was the first thing that popped into my head actually when I saw this game. So, but the game itself, Adriano just touched on Italiano, and I can't speak highly enough of the way he sets his teams up. Their transitional play between defense and attack is so good to watch. It's so fluid, and it actually reminds me a lot of Atalanta at their peak under Gasperini at times. But yeah, look, I was hoping Zio Amo was here today. I'm sure he would say, and I'm sure he would crack the whip again against Insigne, because he was disappointing. He had so many chances to actually create or hit the target with once he beat an opposition player, and he failed again. So a lot of Napolitani would be happy to, I think, come season end to see the back of him, to be honest, because he's going downhill for me. So looking at a great result for them. We still have to play Fiorentina as well as Napoli, so this unbeaten run I think is going to be tested severely. But in terms of this week, Anthony, we travel there, so they've got 2 home games in a row, Napoli. So they might have been banking on those 6 points, and if they did, they'd probably be at the top of the tree at the moment. So we'll go there, we'll play our game, and we'll try and get a result like we have been since the 10th of January.
Yeah, exactly right, man. Fiorentina, great points for them, really good points for them, and they've got to play you guys as well, Adriano. They've got Milan as well, so they've got a tough fixture list, but plenty of challenges that they will be up for because nothing really to lose for them. They're all steam ahead for a European spot. Adam, you're going to keep the mic on you for a little bit. Oh man, it looked a little doom and gloom for a second against Salernitana, but I never really lost faith there, man. Mourinho doing Mourinho things. Chris Smalling at the back post is starting to become like a death taxes quote thing. No matter where he's been in his life, man. I watched him so often, almost every weekend at Manchester United, and he's just the same player he is now. And you know what? He's bloody quality. Good on Chris Smalling, and well done to Roma on the 3 points.
He's got that Sergio Ramos about him of being deadly at the back post
yeah.
from or free kicks deep in that attacking third. But you know what? Even though we went 1-0 down, and you know it was purely our fault because the ball broke from a free kick, and Rui Patricio had no chance to save that. I was never actually too concerned until about the 70th minute when we were still 1-0 down. I'm like, what's going on here? In all their effort, Salernitana really only had 2 chances the whole game. One was the goal from a free kick, and there was a save Patricio made in that second half. But credit to Mourinho. This was his win. Because the substitutions he did make, all 5 of them, contributed to getting us back in the game. And, you know, if you see the lineup at the end of that 90 minutes, it was basically what was it? What can you even call it? It was like a 3-2 bloody 7 or something. So, you know, it worked really well. Look, each player that came in knew their role, and I think I guess that was the best thing coming out of this game for me. Even though we're only playing Salernitana, those players that came on knew where they needed to be, and their positioning was fantastic to see. So, again, I'll touch on it again because it doesn't happen often. We are unbeaten in the league since the 10th of January. We got Bordeaux last week because we'll get them back this week. And another thing, and I'll keep harping on about this on the show, it was another sold-out Olympico. We're playing Salernitana, for God's sake. Like, it's not like, you know, we're playing a team in the top half. We're playing Salernitana, and the people just keep responding. And this is what Romanista are all about. You know, starve the success, we'll still turn out and we'll support our club. So that was, again, a beautiful thing for me.
100%. Adriano, over to you, man. This game, a really good result for Roma. Do you really think that they can push the boundaries and maybe test Juve to get that 4th position, or you think it's a little too late for that? And another question for you, your friend Gianni, what jersey does he wear next weekend, man? His Napoli one or his Roma one?
I think he's going to have to put his mezza, his half jersey on for this game. You know what? If it's a draw, I think he's happy. If it's a win one way or another, he's half happy, half sad there. But jokes aside, just going back to Roma, yeah, man. Listen, we spoke about Roma last week a bit more in detail on our show, and kudos and credit to Mourinho. You know, these are the types of games, and these are the types of stretches and seasons that a quality coach is going to get you through. Roma hasn't been perfect, and I've said it, and I think if you're a logical Roma fan, I think you know that this is still a project. This is not an overnight thing. In my head, at least, that's how I see it. It's you bring a new coach, the new management with the Freakins, American owners. It's a work in progress. This is something that you're not going to just flip a switch and wave a magic wand and things are going to be perfect. You're in top 4. You're fighting for Champions League. It's it is a building process. So I don't want to burst any bubbles here for Adam and company there, but I don't see the top 4. I think they still have that outside stretch to come. But again, listen, there's all to play for. If they continue on this path and Juve slip up or other teams slip up, there's a possibility. I think it's still slim, but I don't see it right away, right now. But again, even if not, but even if not, it's still a stepping stone, right? Europa League. It's an improvement from the Conference League this year.
Exactly.
And, they keep this cycle going. Again, if Mourinho stays, we all know that Mourinho is, he does his magic and kind of a la Conte, he does his magic and then bounces, but we'll see. They seem to have a good thing going. I watched and listened to Mourinho speak in interviews and just, stuff like that. And he seems to be invested in Rome. So, you know what? It's a good sign to see because, you like to see the Roman clubs, healthy and competitive, just like the Milano club. So Again, I still think they're outside looking in for top four, but again, I think it's still a step in the right direction if they finish fifth or what have you.
Yeah, of course. Plenty to still talk about for Roma in the coming weeks. I want to talk little bit more about Zaniolo possibly next week, Adam, and we'll talk a little bit about your Conference League result. But just quickly, Adam, before we move on, just a very quick prediction. How do you think that Conference League return leg is going to go against your newfound arch rivals, man? Have you ever seen an ascension of rivalry so quick in your life of this one? Wow.
No, like I didn't even know who they were at the beginning of the season. So, and now, look, it's developed so far that you would have seen reports about our goalkeeper coach Nuno Santos and the head coach from Bordeaux are getting into an altercation after the game. They've both been suspended now by UEFA. And like
didn't a fan throw some snow at Mourinho as well?
Yeah, there was a fan that threw snow as he got off the plane.
And Tommy.
There was another person that threw a snowball at Tammy Abraham as he came off the pitch. You wouldn't want to be a Bordeaux fan wearing Bordeaux gear in Rome this week, heading to a pub. Let me put it that way. So there is some heat in this one going into Thursday or Friday morning our time. Another Soldado Olimpico. Who would have ever thought Soldado Olimpico for a quarterfinal of the Conference League? But there's some real spice in this one. Look, I think that we'll win. We'll win the game. As away goals don't count anymore. I guess it's going to be really tight there. But I think that we'll come away with a victory. Whether that's enough on the night to get through, we might go to extra time and penalties. Who knows? But I think I'm quite confident. Put it that way.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. I'd be pretty confident as well. The other team from the capital city, 4-1 away from home against Genoa, routine stuff. Now, for me personally, I like the way that you need to be very patient with Maurizio Sarri, and it looks like he's found a club and an owner that's willing to be patient with him. And I know Adam doesn't like to talk a lot of good things about Lazio, and fair enough. But at the end of the day, I see a lot of parallels between he and Mourinho's first season. They've both done what I consider to be a very good job so far, and especially if they can keep this up and win the majority of their games. Both sides are 12 points out of their last 15, and for next season for Lazio, it really becomes about who can you keep rather than who can you buy, because I really think with a couple of extra signings, they can push for a top 4 position, but you need to keep Ciro and you need to keep Milinkovic-Savic. If you dismember this squad and bring either one of them out, then you sort of need to rebuild an entire focal point and cult point of view from the club. So I'm going to go to our guest, Adreano, just quickly. What have you made of Lazio's season so far, and where do you fancy that they can end up? And going into next season, who do they need to keep as well? Because Zaccagni has been a great signing, man. Don't get me wrong, but they've got to hold on to their prime pieces, I reckon.
Yeah, listen, it's another story in Rome. Like I said, the beginning of the season, before the season kicked off, this campionato. I mean, for me personally, it was a question mark with the Roman teams. Then you see Mourinho come, Sarri come, and again, I'm following that same rut that I just said earlier. Project. You have to take your time. Again, Sarri, this philosophy, like Mourinho and others, it takes time to develop and to really be shown and seen on the pitch. So, listen, it all depends on how patient they are with Sarri. So far, so good, quote unquote. I know there's been some ups and downs throughout the season, but looking at this game, on the weekend, smashing Genoa. I mean, Genoa hasn't been too great this season. They look like they're going to be going down, but it's a win, and it's a 3 points that Lazio needs, and they have been needing. They have the pieces. They haven't been really able to fit it all together this season. I don't know. It's going to be tough to see who they keep and who they let go, because I think they do need pieces. I don't think they need a complete overhaul. I think they need some plug and play pieces, but they have to do something in the transfer market. It's enough that you're picking guys like Morici, and they need a defense. It's aging in the back. Acerbi can only play for so long. Luis Felipe too looks good, but at the same time, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? I don't know. They have some holes in the defense, in my opinion. But again, how do you finance that? Are they going to go into the pockets, or are they gonna spend some money without selling? I don't know. Are they gonna risk finally selling, SMS and fund some of these transfers to make their team more competitive? It's also a possibility. I found those are big question marks. If I were, in Lazio's shoes, I think you need to keep Immobile. He's your guy. He's been your guy. I know he's getting up there in age as well. He's not getting any younger, but he produces in Serie A. We all know this. He's a capocannoniere, Scarpadora winner. The list goes on. He just scores, 15, 20 odd goals plus a season, right? So he's a must. I still think SMS is a must too, but if they're gonna sell, he's the main bait that you're gonna get most of your funds.
Yeah.
From. So I would see that being like your biggest bait for cash. I personally would let go of a guy like Luis Alberto because I think he doesn't really want to stay anymore. I don't know. There's kind of been ups and downs with him. But listen, guys, there are pieces there, and we've said it. I think so many people have said it. On paper, these past couple of seasons, so when they're fully healthy, they're one of the better squads in Serie A. Obviously, they have regressed a bit, these past couple of seasons, but I think they're still a bit of plug and play pieces away because, like you mentioned, Anthony Zaccagni has been a revelation for them in the attack, and I think they just need a couple more pieces to complement what they already have to really make a push into top four and not just fall into the Europa League spots.
Yeah, Milinkovic-Savic, such a consistent price tag, as high as about 90, probably to 100 at one point. They'd still probably get 70 for him at this point if Juventus are going to make an offer, or if a club like PSG or Bayern Munich or an English club wanted to come along and make an offer. That's how consistent his price tag has been. Adam, any words to say from Lazio before we move on?
No, look, I pretty much agree with Adreano just said. That they're needing a couple of players in some key positions to improve. And look, I mean, again, like Mourinho, I'm interested to see what Sarri does in the summer in terms of plugging in players that suit his style, because he also inherited a squad, although they were a Champions League squad at the time. They've sort of regressed since then. Now, that's not only because of him as a coach, I don't believe. I think it's got to do a lot with the players at his disposal. And, to be fair to him, he's had a lot of players come in and out with injury throughout the season, and they haven't had a good run in. Zaccagni being the main one who was a revelation for everybody last year at Verona. So interesting to see what he does in the offseason in terms of new talent and who he lets go of. But I also agree that SMS is probably the only player in that squad that would command a huge price tag. So whether they sell him, it's going to give him a lot of room to spend. If they don't, who knows?
Yeah, exactly right. Let's move on to the most disappointing side in Serie A this season, which is Atalanta. I know they've been unlucky with injuries, and I know that their squad is definitely going through a reformation, but they've still got a lot of quality players, and it's just not working for Gasperini and his men this season. I've had my fair share to say about them on this platform, so I'm going to skip this one myself and just go over to the two gentlemen here. So, Adriano, we'll start with you. Surprising to see Atalanta play so poorly in the back half of the season, give or take their injuries or two. But I think it's all eggs in the Europa League basket, and they've got both eyes firmly pressed on RB Leipzig. Is that who they're playing, or is it Salzburg? One of those two.
Oh my God! Yeah, one of them. No,
sorry.
The team escapes me right now. I don't know.
It's Leipzig.
It is?
Yeah, Leipzig.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I think the Europa League basket. I think it's a shame that they're not really kind of spreading those eggs in different baskets, but they're really going, and they've been playing well in the Europa League, right? They've shown they've been playing quality opponents. They've been showing that they can fight in Europe. It's a bit of a shame in Serie A. I think they've kind of been that Cinderella story. Love them or hate them. Love or hate Gasperini. He's done wonders for the squad and has put really a lot of eyes on his squad and in Serie A as a league in general. But kudos to, and chapeau to Sassuolo. They haven't been able to beat Atalanta. Again, I was listening and reading the stat escapes me right now, but it's been a while that they haven't been able to beat Atalanta. So for them to do so in the fashion that they did, it's just a credit to Dionisi. That setup that they got on, that system that they got going on, and when you got fantastic players at your disposal, national team players, and just young bright spots in Serie A, it goes a long way. And I mean, there's not enough good things you can say about Traore. He's just fantastic, and I think he suits a team like Sassuolo. I know a lot of people want to say, okay, where's he going next? I think me personally, if I have to say, I still think he has to stay as like a team like Sassuolo for a bit longer, maybe another season. until he makes that that jump. Personally, but again, for Atalanta's sake, it's the injuries, it's the multiple competitions. Is that twinkle finally fading? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes and no, I can say, but again, they've been unlucky as well. But in certain games, there's no excuses, and they have to be better away from home, at home. But yeah, it's been a bit of a rocky season for Atalanta. If they can make the European spots, I think that will still be good for them in terms of cash, to get money and stuff. But yeah, just it's been a bit disappointing. But again, I think a lot of credit has to go to Sassuolo this weekend. It was a big performance.
Yeah. Of course, and they've had some good performances. I'll go to Adam next, but imagine they were in a different financial state where they didn't need to sell anybody. This team next season could really start challenging for maybe a 6 to 8 spot, but they're also in a position now where they've got so much talent in that starting 11 with your Berardi, Scamacca, Raspadori, Traore, Fratesi. Like there's so much talent. Like they can really afford to move some of these pieces on and reset again with some really smart acquisitions and some good coaching, and of course that little bit of good fortune and luck. I think Sassuolo's in for a good season next season as well. Adam?
Yeah, I think Dionisi, a lot of credit must go to him as well for the way he sets his team up. But again, we've spoken about this at length in terms of who do they lose. That's probably the question coming to the end of the season, because Raspadori and Scamacca look like they're already gone. Who knows where, but they're already being spoken about like they're gone in the summer. Berardi, we don't know, but it's probably likely that if he's going to request a move, it's now's the time. And Traore puts together a month of good football, and now he's been linked to everyone, including us. Mate, I'd absolutely love to have him, and I think he'll suit Mourinho's team to a T. But there's a lot to get through before he ends up at Stigoria. But yeah, he's definitely a player I'd love to see at Roma. Gasperini's Atalanta again. Yeah, disappointing, man. Like, what do you say? Like, their form of the last probably 10 weeks has just been like. Yeah, well, I thought at one stage they were going to finish in at least the top 2 or 3 at worst.
Yeah. I agree, and then always having in mind that that game in hand. Now they're on the table. That game in hand is useless. So it's
redundant.
Pretty crazy.
So I mean, they potentially catch us, of course, but they're not going to finish any higher than 5th. Put it that way. So really, really disappointing on their end. And then you need to think about past that, right? With no Champions League football now, what club does Atalanta become? Like, they're going to have to offload some players to balance those books. They haven't got Champions League money anymore. So, another club that we'll watch with interest in the summer.
Definitely. Let's move on to possibly the biggest disappointment of the match day, context-wise, besides Napoli. But it's tough, man. This Torino side under Juric, outside of the top 4 to 6 teams, this is the team you want to come up against the least, man. They've stolen a point we stole a point back from them. They got a good point against Juve. They've gotten the point against you, and they've still got to play Napoli as well, which I'm almost certain they'll take a point from in that situation. So overall, game-wise, not a disaster, but in context on match day 32, Adri, it's a setback. Nothing's over yet, of course, but it's a setback, especially since you couldn't get the points against Bologna the week before.
Guys, listen, it's a huge piss off. I don't want to get excited. I don't want to get heated on your show there, but listen, it's been 2 weeks of hell. If I'm honest, I think Ionisti, over can kind of agree on that. Can't score a goal in 2 games. It's been a bit of an issue. And again, I know, there's been players not in form. There's been players out, injury, COVID, what have you. But again, guys, there's no excuse. We've had the chances. If it comes down to, again, not being able to capitalize in the final third, we've seen this issue for so damn long with Milan. It's not even funny anymore. But again, it's like you said, Anthony. It's Juric. We know what type of manager he is in Serie A. He's been doing well under with Torino, And I know, Torino's not high up, but listen, they're, I think, 11th right now on the table, pushing for that west side of the table, which is always a plus for these types of teams. So, but yeah, listen, if it wasn't for Magnan saving us once again, and maybe even Tomori having a decent game, and I like what Tonali brought to the game as well. Other than that, guys, it was a total flop from every other position and every other player. Fans are gonna be like, oh yeah, but we need, there was that penalty, Salamakers, Teo Hernandez. Guys, it's enough with that. Like, we can't depend on penalties to win games, to win a Scudetto.
Of course.
Yeah, we've overachieved. I think fans and people can say that. Sure, but again, we've been able to stay the course. We've been able to fight against the top teams. It's the bottom teams that it really aggravates us. I read somewhere, and I don't know if I didn't do my own homework on it, so I'm just gonna, I don't know if it's 100%, but I read somewhere, it's now 16 points that Milan drops to the teams, the bottom 10 teams. Guys, that's an issue. That's a problem. You know what? It's one thing to lose, but if you don't show up and you can't score a goal, it's big issues. We have so many problems. And again, I think this still falls on Milan itself. Listen, I'm the first one to praise Maldini and company for what they've done, and even Pioli and everybody, because they have turned the tides from a dark Milan times, but not really addressing some positions in the winter mercato might come back and burn us in the end. We've been so desperately needing a right wing. It's almost laughable now. Listen, Salamakers, Messias is not doing it. Like, it's just not enough. And again, we have to depend on Ibra if he's there. If he's not, we're overusing Giroud. We have nobody else to bring on. Rebic hasn't been himself. Leao can only do so much by himself. It's a bit of a shame these past couple of games and these past couple of weeks. It's a bit of a slump, but again, for me, it's not over. I'm still optimistic. They did definitely shoot themselves in the foot because they had more or less their destiny in their own hands. They kind of let it piss through their hands, and with these past 2 weeks, you pick up a point, but I would have rather lost one and won one, because you would have gotten the 3 points instead of the 2. I know it's an extra point. So, what? We're still above your Inter by the 2 points. You guys have the game in hand. Me personally, I think it's Inter's to lose in terms of the Scudetto. I've said it, pretty much the course of this season. They've been the best team in Serie A, and rightfully so. But again, I still think it's going to be a fight till the end. The schedules are tough. But again, like we all know, guys, there's no easy games in Serie A, and it shows week in and week out, guys, that this is a known thing. The smaller teams picking up points against the bigger teams. We see it all the time. So I don't want to say it's all over, and I don't think Napoli fans should say it's all over. I don't think Inter fans should say it's all over, even though a couple weeks ago, it looked like Inter fans, we were like, down in the dumps. Milan fans were on a high, Napoli fans as well. Guys, it's a roller coaster till the end. I think it's going to go till the end, more or less, unless one or two of these teams really, again, continue to shoot themselves in the foot. But Milan has to be better. They have to turn the page, and again, it's one game at a time, and they have to recognize that what's at stake and what's at hand, and that they really need to be better on and off the pitch.
Well said, man. Adam, any questions for Adri before we move on?
Just for Adri, look, there's an old age debate around being still in Europe and playing every 3 days versus having the whole week to prepare for a match. And I know that Milan haven't got that problem at the moment, but I did see Milan, although this game was fantastic from a neutral perspective, even though it was 0-0, it was actually a great game to watch. I just feel like that at times I saw a fatigued Milan. Did you feel that as well, Adri?
You know what? I don't know what it is. If it's physically exhausted or mentally exhausted, like I'm really not sure. Like, I can't put my finger on it. Like, these guys look a bit overworked, but at the same time, like, I don't know if it's, like I said, physical or mental. I maybe a bit of both. But again, guys, like we've known this since, like, again, we're still in a pandemic. I don't want to say it's the pandemic's completely over wherever you're living and wherever you're listening in the world. I hope everybody's safe, but these guys haven't stopped playing calcio. Like, it's been on and on and on and on and on. From last season to the Euros to this season, international breaks in between. So again, Europe, no Europe. Again, I don't think it's an excuse. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more mentally. I don't know if I hope it's not mental, because what I think that's really gonna ruin their psyche, because they were on such a high, and if they're mentally now fatigued and worn out, it's a bit of a worry. It's a bit of a scare. But I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it 100% what it is, if it's mentally or physically. But if it's not one or the other, I think it's definitely a combination of the both.
Yeah. Well, there'll be plenty more to talk about in the games that come. Inter got a much-needed 3 points after breaking their duck against Juve. The Juve game was very important, but, it doesn't matter who you play. The next game is always more important than the one before, and we played very well in this particular fixture. It was the sort of fixture that, really brought the confidence back, even if there was a little bit of doubt, because winning a derby in Turin, it's all a moments thing. It's a vibes thing, and, this is a business thing, a home game against Verona, and we had to do the business. And that's what we did. Good goal for Barella, who's starting to pick up a little bit of form again. Ivan Perisic was electric again. I hope that we get his contract renewal sorted. I really didn't think we'd be sitting here this many years later after he departed for Bayern Munich, saying this guy's pretty much been our best player this season. Re-sign him, and it feels like a new signing for the next 2 years. Give him another mil and a half per season if he wants it. It's a no-brainer. When Brozovic is there, it's a different midfield, and it ticks very well. And I just think that if we can do the business against Spezia and get a good result against Roma, of course, which means a win, 6 points in the next 6, we might be able to start narrowing in on our last few games, going, this is in our hands, and this is realistically, we should be doing this. But then again, you've got to do the business in the next game and the game after that. And we will be covering that here on the Serie A Roundtable. But I've said everything I needed to say on my Inter Worldwide platform. I don't like to harp on about Inter too much over here. I'd rather give the microphone to the guests. So, Adam, your thoughts on Inter's 2-0 win against Verona, and how do you see him pushing on from here? Keep in mind, in between the tough Roma and Bologna games in hand, we will play our second leg against Adri and his boys in the Coppa Italia.
Yeah, nothing came out of this game where I didn't feel that Inter were going to get the 3 points. There was a pivotal part where Simeone got through and Handanovic pulled off a really good save at a really important time of the game. But apart from that, I thought that Inter, it was a routine sort of victory. It was good to see Barella on the score sheet again finally. After so long, and it was typical Dzeko being Dzeko with a lot of those runs into the box. I've seen them before. But look, moving forward, and I don't want to put we call it the Moz here in Australia, Adri, on Inter. But every time I say Inter's a shoo-in for the Scudetto, because I believe that all season. For any viewers that have watched this show throughout the season, I've been on the Inter bandwagon the whole time. I can't. Again, it's theirs to lose. From looking at the fixtures that remain, as well as the game in hand, I can't see him dropping it, especially with Milan and Napoli's form at the moment. If that continues, then I think it's a no-brainer. But I hope it's close for the remainder of the season, just to keep it interesting. But I think, like I've always said, I think Inter will win the Scudetto, so that hasn't changed for me.
Adri, your thoughts on our game against Verona, man? 3 important points for us, just to keep the pace with you, because mentally, like, all teams are going to be looking at the table at the moment. You got to be able to look and think we're still within striking distance. For sure.
I don't know. I hope Adam's a mush, and I hope he mushes Inter a bit there. I'm just a friendly job to you, Anthony. But besides the jokes, listen, I think, take off your fan cap. I think everybody couldn't have agreed before the season. Throughout the season, Inter the best side in Serie A. Like to say that or not, you have to be a realist, and I think they've shown it throughout the season. Yeah, they had a bit of a slump, maybe, I don't know, a little bit ago, and I know fans were in a bit of a panic. But again,
very tough games though in that period. Very tough games in that period.
No, absolutely. I think, what was that? Was that February?
Yeah, February is where we ended up. Yeah, played Liverpool twice, Milan once, Roma as well. It was a tough month. Napoli as well.
Yeah, no. Exactly. And that's fair. Again, these are tough games, and it was rightfully so. But at the same time, I still think they've had the best team on the pitch, depth-wise as well. They've looked the best. They've stayed the healthiest somehow as well throughout the season. Like you said, and I think like everybody knows, Brozovic in that midfield. If he's not there, it shows. When he's there, it shows. Barella too. He's been a guy that's played so much calcio. It's not even funny. He's at one point, and I don't know if it was in February or when it was, but he would just look exhausted. It's finally, just as an Italian and as an Azzurri lover, to see Barella do well, even though he plays for the wrong side of Milano, it's good to see him. It's good to see him do well. He's just a tank, and he just never stops. But in terms of the game with Verona, I mean, listen, I still think it was a tricky game. I still think that I think Inter would have came out with the points. Yeah. But again, Verona has shown that they've been able to fight as well. They've been a tricky team in Serie A this year too. Tudor and company. Simeone has been on a tear. He goes up and down with his goal scoring abilities. But they have a good team, and Verona is another one of those teams there that they like a Bologna, like a Torino, Sassuolo. They can give you trouble. And I think they did a bit, but at the same time, I think it was Inter's class and Inter's quality that really showed up and showed out in this game. And again, picked up crucial points. I think they played. Did they play on the Friday? Or no, they played on the Saturday. So they played before, Saturday, more or less. They played on the Saturday for myself. So they played before some of the other top teams there, and they got their job done. And I've said it again on our show, on other shows. Every team's got to do their own laundry. They have to do their own thing. They have to worry about themselves. They can't start worrying about, Milan can't start worrying about Inter, Napoli, and, Juventus about what they're doing. They have to really focus on what they're doing, because if not, you're screwed. So take care of your own laundry, fold your own clothes, do whatever you have to do. Whatever analogy you want to use, guys, you have to do it. But again, I think it's kudos to Inter. Again, I think they are the best team. But again, it's not over, and I still think it's going to be an exciting. It's nowhere near. It's 6 finals, 7 for Inter. They still have that game in hand, so it's all to play for. And again, we've seen momentum and form go up and down this season for all the teams in Serie A. So, teams have looked bad these past 2 weeks or these past month, but again, they can really switch that and pull up some great performances down the stretch. So. It's gonna be a fight to the finish, but I think Inter, if there's anything, they have last year's experience, and they have more or less that same core of players and that same identity and that same mentality. So that's kind of in their favor. But again, it's gonna be an interesting finish to the Campionato for sure.
And when's that catch-up game being played?
27th of April.
We have no idea. Is that
27th? It's confirmed that it's happening, but there's some sort of weird appeal that has to go through court in the next 3 days. And a lot of Inter fans are saying, like, don't be surprised if the court rules in our favor, and then Bologna need to reappeal just to get the game played, which could happen, because apparently Bologna, like, that's the last thing that all Inter fans should want. It's the last thing I want. You don't hand points out for free at this point of the season. You might as well just walk away from the season now if you get free handouts now. That's not the same season. But from a Bologna point of view, they need to be ready to submit a reappeal just in case, because they didn't travel on the match day, didn't notify any of the officials, did not submit a team sheet, and broke COVID regulations all in the space of 24 hours. It was a shit show for them, but they'll definitely be able to reappeal to play that game, and it definitely has to happen on the 27th of April. So that's the time that you're looking for, right in between Roma and our second leg of the Coppa. Last game that we're going to discuss as a trio, and then we'll just talk about the last couple of results, not even for a minute. Vlahovic gets the goal with an assist from Dybala, and Juve get the 3 points just to make sure that there's not too many hiccups on their way to the 4th position. They haven't been great. I was watching the game, and, when it starts to get tight-nipped at the end, I start to sit on the edge of my seat going, oh, yeah, this is the next best thing to an Inter win. Are Juve not picking up points? Let's focus in on this, but not meant to be. But Adri, because we've got you here for the first time, overall, your thoughts on Juve this season, how are they going to transition into next season, and losing Dybala for free? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a lot to digest, Juve. I think there's a lot to digest. There's a lot to reassess and to look at from management to coaching to players. They have to look at themselves in the mirror and they have to do quite a bit of changes. But yeah, this season, I mean, listen, it hasn't been Juve season. It's shown they haven't performed the way we've seen for the past the past 9 years, 10 years, whatever. So. Again, they've changed. Their squad has changed. It doesn't help that they've changed coach, like they're changing their underwear. It's been one of those things, right, guys? It's been like 4 coaching changes in 4 seasons. It's for a team like Juve, you don't see stuff like that, too often, or any top team really, for to that degree. So, listen, are they going to stick with Allegri or not? I don't know. There's the Dybala situation. It really does seem like he's not going to renew. He's not going to resign. It's parting ways with Dybala, which I think is probably the best bet. To see him going on a free is tough. Milan fans know it firsthand. We've dealt with this type of stuff before. And again, it all depends where he would go. I know there's obviously rumors for him to go to Inter, the Argentina connection there. It's interesting. I know Milan was in the news for him too. Listen, guys, I don't know if he stays in Serie A. It's going to be interesting to see. But they have some pieces for sure. Vlahovic is obviously one of them. But they have to, in my opinion, they have to finally turn the page from that, quote unquote old guard, that old mentality, that old system. They got some players. They got some good younger players. The Vlahovics, the Delits, Chiesa. Zakaria is also a nice sort of addition in the midfield. They have to continue to plug in new blood and young blood into the squad. I mean, listen, guys, Chiellini, Bonucci, these other older players, they're not getting any younger. They have to finally turn that page, I think, for them to have any type of success. But again, it starts at the top. What's going on at the top? Is Allegri your guy for the future? I mean, you talk to some Juve fans, it's like Allegri out, Allegri in, so it's really a toss-up, guys. And I don't know. It's for me, whatever. If there's more destruction at Juve, the better for us as opposition fans, I think. But as a Serie A lover, to see the competition, across the board be healthy. I think there definitely needs to be a bit of an overhaul at Juve, but. Again, I don't think they're complete demolition and rehaul, but they definitely do need to turn the page a bit. But again, it's where they finish is going to be another thing. We were speaking about before with Roma. I personally don't know if Roma's going to be able to make that push. So Juve might just be lucky enough to stay in top 4, which is I guess something for them to continue in Champions League because they need that money. Again, I don't know where they're getting some of this money where they purchased these players in the winter, but listen, that's another topic for another day. But I think they just need to continue to reinvent this team, this squad, and start to use guys as like their pillars for the future. Obviously, there's the links with Raspadori and other names, so we'll see, guys. I don't know, but if they can build around, the Vlahovics, the Chiesas, the Ligt, and others, I think they will be set. But we've said it for how many years, guys? This team needs a midfield. They still haven't really addressed that completely. Obviously bringing in Locatelli and Artur and Zakaria has been nice, but it's not from the Juve midfields in the past. So they definitely have some work to do there as well.
Definitely room for technical improvement in that side, especially if they're going to lose someone as technical as Dybala. They'll need a lot of replacing in that centre park to keep creating. So decent 3 points for them to take the pressure off. Very good 3 points for Udinese that have confirmed their position in the mid-table this season. Beto is absolutely flying. He didn't score this particular weekend, but he was really, really good again. Rodrigo grabbed the winning goal after Deulofeu scored the first one. Venezia, this pretty much almost puts them down, man. Like they are going to have to seriously pull some games together. And, that's what we're going to be focusing on a lot on the Serie A Roundtable in the next few weeks, Adam, man. We're going to be talking relegation because there's a lot of 6-pointers coming up in the back end of the season. So watch this space. It's going to be pretty exciting. And the only other result was a board draw for, which, kind of suits both of these teams because statistically they're not safe. They wouldn't even be thinking they're safe, but it's just the form of the teams underneath them. You've got teams like Cagliari and Venezia and Salernitana who haven't won a game in five or six, and it's looking like a real proper grind now for all of these teams. So good point for Spezia, good point for Empoli. Both of them expected to survive the drop before the end of the season. That's pretty much all we're going to have time for today on Football Worldwide. It's been an awesome episode 25, Matchday 32 of the Serie A Roundtable, and I just really want to thank my guest coming in from Montreal, Adreano. Let everybody listening where they can find your awesome work with your gang.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's a pleasure to check out. I know. Listen, if it wasn't for this time, I'm on my phone. I don't know what time it is, but if it wasn't for this time, I know we can speak for another couple of hours. So I definitely do appreciate you reaching out. It's always a pleasure to check out. So you guys know that. But like I said at the top of the show, I had to make the sacrifice for yourself. You did it for us. I feel like it's only right that we have to repay the favor for you. So yeah, guys, listen. I do a Serie A podcast with two of my buddies here in Montreal, Canada. It's the Calcio Guys. You can follow us on all social media platforms at the Calcio Guys. It's on. It's the at right here on my name here. Weekly show. We kind of just speak of everything about Serie A, everything Calcio. International, Azzurri, Canada in the World Cup instead of the Azzurri. So we're going to be shifting a bit through that as well. But yeah, catch our podcast on all your favorite podcasting platforms. We post every week, and if we're ever live on YouTube, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, at the Calcio Guys. And again, it's a pleasure chatting, and I can't thank you enough. And just being able to continue to connect. Listen, guys, I'm in Montreal. These guys are in Australia. If it wasn't for the cultural community, if it wasn't for the beautiful game, we would never be speaking. So it's always a pleasure, and it's always a great time, chatting this beautiful game of ours. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Great words. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Adam, for checking in again, man. We'll check in next week. All the best for Roma against Napoli. We're both cheering for you.
Thanks, man. We'll do our best. Adri, it was lovely meeting you, man. Welcome back anytime. And sempre Forza Roma.
Forza Milan, guys.
Ciao, guys. Ciao, guys. Thank you.